Hello and welcome. It's a big week on the show for this man because later on he'll be taking a giant leap into the unknown and competing in his first race.
Yes, but in more interesting news, we will have a motorcycle component that is locally made and is the best in the world.
But first, doing this job, we get asked a lot of questions, and one of the most frequently asked is, what's the best bike you've ever ridden?
Well, what is your best bike?
That's the problem. It's almost impossible to choose. We get to ride all the production bikes, race bikes. I've ridden British Superbikes and World Superbikes, some incredible one-offs. It's impossible to choose, but I can answer the other question that we get asked quite a lot, which is, if you had to have only one bike in your garage, what would it be? If I had to choose just one road bike to fill my garage for the rest of my life, then I would choose, well, I can show you just one part of the bike, and I'm pretty sure you can guess the rest. The Ducati 1200 Multistrada S. And before you all start complaining that it's in fact a bit of an adventure bike and not really a pure road bike, let me tell you, I would definitely still have this as my only bike, even if I lived in Europe, where there are no gravel roads at all. It may actually have an enduro mode, and it can genuinely handle a little bit of gentle off-roading. But that's not why I would choose this bike. I would go for the Multistrada because of its amazing abilities on tar. It may be 3 decades since I started biking, and some of my requirements for ultimate motorcycling pleasure may have changed over the years, but one thing has most definitely stayed the same. Performance. There must be lots of it, and preferably it must come in the form of a V-twin. The 1198cc Testa Stretta race-derived engine in the Multi fits the bill perfectly, with 150 horsepower on tap and a whole suite of advanced electronics to help you get the most from it. I managed to sneak onto Swartkop's Raceway for an hour because, as always, the track is the only option for corners for us Gautengers. With some tight hairpins and a couple of brisk sweepers, Swartkop's will give any bike a decent workout. And although the Multi is a sport tourer with plenty of comfort and gadgets, there's no denying that at its heart it is still very much a sport bike. Even though it's wearing dual-purpose tyres, the chassis balance and that gem of an engine keep encouraging you to ride harder, faster, and generally behave like you're on a Panigale and not a Multistrada. Whip the panniers off and fit some sticky rubber, and a track day would undoubtedly be top fun. And that's not something you can say about many bikes, which are also superb touring machines. It looks classy in this silver, but like a Ferrari, I think Ducatis look best in red. It's worth remembering too that the Multi has been designed to handle the occasional gravel road with a standard bash plate, an off-road style rear mudguard, Pirelli Scorpion tyres and handguards, though these are ridiculously expensive ones with built-in indicators. Wind protection is excellent and can be adjusted on the move. The riding position and seat are good for hours at a time, and the standard luggage system is a breeze to use. There's a mix of traditional pipework and castings for the chassis, and of course the suspension and brakes are top quality items more usually found on full-on sport bikes. What these pictures can't show is the array of electronic wizardry that works in conjunction with all these more traditional components. These days it's not just about quality suspension, it's about semi-active skyhook suspension that adjusts itself and reacts to the riding conditions. The same goes for ABS and traction control. There's no need for a key either. As long as the fob is on your person, you're good to go. And how about that dash? Totally electronic and intuitive enough for a technophobe like me to handle in a matter of minutes. The Multistrada is as packed with features as many supposedly full-dress tourers. Given that I only had Kevlar dragging jeans and a jacket rather than full leathers, I couldn't go as mad as I or the bike really wanted to. But perhaps that's for the best, because towards the end of the hour, the Scorpions are tired of gripping and starting to slide. Having said that, I am absolutely amazed that they offer as much traction as they do. You can definitely use these with confidence for a bit of spirited touring. And that's what this Multistrada is, a tourer with the spirit of a sport bike. At this stage of my life, I want the impossible out of a bike. I want the thrills of a superbike, but I want the comfort too. I want to be able to take in a track day one day and the very next day set off for the coast with my wife on the back and for us to have a pleasant enough experience that we don't need to get divorced when we get there. Unrealistic expectations, I know, and when I started out as a fledgling biker quite a few years ago now, it really was an impossible dream. But not anymore. Technology has marched on, and now my fantasy bike has become reality. Thank you very much, Ducati.
Now, that actually surprises me because, correct me if I'm wrong, that is a dual-purpose bike, and you are possibly the most single-minded person when it comes to bikes.
Yeah, I don't like off-road, and to be honest, the dual-purpose part of the Ducati is not its strong suit. It's a bit delicate for the off-road stuff.
You're not going to go bashing through the undergrowth.
No, but it does have the dual-purpose tyres. But you know what I'd do straight away is I would lob the standard tyres, because of the proper-sized rim, so you can stick super sticky race rubber on, or whatever you want, touring rubber, and you're away. It really is that good of a bike. Ignore the off-road potential completely, and it's still a brilliant road bike.
But there is one not so small issue, the price.
Well, it's a fantasy garage, 225,000 rand. Well, it's not that much of a hurt when you can pay 300 plus for a Harley, or look, it's Ducati. I genuinely think it's the ultimate all-round road bike. 225 grand's a lot. You can pay even more, Harry. They've got a Pikes Peak edition, which celebrates the one that won the race at the Pikes Peak. It's another sort of 20, 30 grand. As much carbon as can be thrown at a bike, some other fancy little bits and pieces, lose the luggage system. Or more standard, not the S version, you know, you're saving yourself another 20, 30.
Yeah, but I mean, for 225, there's a lot of alternatives, let's face it. I mean, we've got the Triumph Tiger Sport. OK, it's very basic compared to the Ducati.
Still got a lovely motor.
Lovely engine, great chassis. We tested it end of last year, I think it was, and it's not a bad bike.
Four-cylinder alternative they don't bring in anymore, Kawasaki Versys.
That's ugly as sin.
Ugly, but it did the job well.
Did the job.
But
the
four-cylinder bike's not right for that sort of
It's
bike.
a weird...
Because I love V-twins, and that's what works for me.
You need that grunty, talky sort of thing. Aprilia's Kappa Nord.
Yeah, but then you start going down KTM's Adventure, and you're talking all the adventure bikes, basically.
GS.
In a GS. OK, let me turn this on the head. If I asked you, one bike, in the garage, living here in South Africa, it's got to do a bit of everything, what would you have? Let me guess.
No, go on then, it's going to be a GS.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a GS.
OK, take out the dirt component, and you just had to have a road bike, would it still be the GS?
Probably not. No, if I was never going to look at off-road, then no, I don't think so. I probably would, despite...
Well, that's what I would do with the
Despite the fact I've been
Ducati.
living in a tent for the rest of my life, it would be the Ducati, probably.
Oh, wow.
Because it's lovely. It is a lovely thing. And as you so rightly said, it's brilliant.
You've taken my breath away. You've agreed with me. I don't know what to do now, so I think we'll go to... No, we'll go to a break. I need to soak this up. We'll go to a break. Stay with us.